G'day, punters. Welcome to the Mailbag, previewing a really big meeting at Caulfield. We're going to kick off the show. We've got the man, the myth, the wish on board. But firstly, Jonathan, welcome Snowy. How are you, Snow?
Very well, yourself?
Good, man. You've been on the phone. You've got the hot oil for the punter at home, yeah, from the Caulfield Trainers Hut?
Yes.
Righto, punters. Get your pens out. What do we got?
First of all, race 2, number 11, Express Pass. It was a first up winner last start, and I spoke to Nick this morning. The horse is trained on. Obviously, it'll get back, but he said it'll be flying home. Windstorm was the obvious danger, but Express Pass did have a tick over jump out last week. Went well, and Nick said its work's been super, so he was pretty keen of its chances in race 2.
Okay. What else we got?
Obviously, for Clint McDonald, yard race 3, Benetoit, she's first up. He thought at $6 she was a good place chance for the place. And then Diamond F at race 6. The horse has come back very well, but obviously drawing barrier 15 is a concern. So he was more of an each-way play with her.
You get anything from Mick Price for the punters?
What was that, sorry?
Anything from Mick Price for the punters?
We had 3 in the McNeil Stakes, and he pretty much just said they've all come back well. Pretty much just come down to luck in run, so he didn't really have nothing too much to say. He said a lot of his good chances are drew poor barriers. But there was another one from Nick Ryan's stable, Saccone. He said this horse is trained on from last start to finish second in the PB Lawrence, out in trip, and he just said he'll be on speed, give a good kick at the turn, and out of all his runners for the weekend, Saccone was by far his best chance.
Very nice. Anything from up north, the Lee stable? You've got a little man there, don't you?
Mugger 2, race 8, number 3. That was the best bet of the weekend. It won well last start. Out to 1,900 metres, they thought it should be winning. And also in the last Wonder Bar, we did back this horse first up. It won well. It's trained on as well, and they're very keen on its chances. So they're in the last 2 races at Rosehill on Saturday.
Beautiful work. Jonathan, any more questions for the man?
No, I was going to say, just let the boys know. Benetoit is shopping $6 a place, not the win. So it's big odds each way.
Yeah, well, that's what he thought. She could fill a hole, and at $6 a place, he did think that she was worth a place bet. She was a bit unlucky. Brett, we did have a good go at her a few times.
We backed her at Rose Hill somewhere in the rain, it was like 50s into 10s, and it looked like it was going to win on the corner.
It was a big go that day. So, yeah, but she has come back well. So $6 a place there.
Beautiful work.
Here's a question for you. Who do you reckon Mick Price's pick of the jockeys would be if we're going through? Who would have got first shot at these fresh 3-year-olds in race 7?
Well, you would think Oliver's the main man, yeah.
Yeah, righto. And he's got to ride for Danny O'Brien because he's
I reckon that flying award's pretty smart, but we're going to get to that race later, Jonathan. But
yeah, no, it's just an interesting. Had a quick flick through because I can't make head nor tail until we find out a bit more info in race 7. So all good.
Righto. Well, maybe next week, Snowy, you can ask Mick Price, give us his power rankings for riders, top 3 or 4.
Yep. I'll get back to you with that, Jake.
Righto. Beautiful work, Snowy. We're going to kick on now with the Quaddie legs. Righto, we head to race 6, which is over the 1,100 metres. Up comes the speed map and a little simp hold, courtesy of Pistol Pete Anfinus, our man. Superstorm Pistol, thoughts?
It's priced on his obviously untapped ability, but 1,100 is a bit of an unknown for him. If it's 1,400, 1,600, sure, yeah, makes sense. But I don't think he'll be ready, tuned up first up over 1,100, will he?
I wouldn't have a clue. I was just going to ask you, then maybe ask Gareth if I had to. The 2 boys with the Western Australian connections.
No, I found others at a price. It was good to hear the push from Clint McDonald's yard to Diamond Effort. I mean, that horse is just hooning and loves 1,100 metres and Caulfield. So, if Benny Mellon slots it in somewhere, and even if he doesn't, to be honest, I wouldn't be too disappointed. As long as it's not last, that's probably the main thing. I thought it had really strong claims. I thought Crystal Dreamer had claims. I think if they're making ground, you have to have something small and Prophet's Thumb at the huge price. But For me, it's Diamond Effort, the one to build the book around here.
Jonathan, before we kick off here, we've had a question from Alistair. Speaking about race 6, 10 of the top 11 in the market are first up. Great Again's the only outlier there. How much weight do we give to horses' peak figures, a trial report, or the trials we've watched, the first up record? What sort of factors do you and you, Peter, value when you're looking at these horses fresh?
Mine first off the trial. The trial takes precedence. If they trial well, they're ready and they're fit and ready to go. And unfortunately, we can't make use of both your fellas' expertise being on course and looking at them in the yard to tell how fit they are. But for me, prior to going to races, the trial takes precedence over any of the other bits and pieces.
I'd say that the peak sort of figure that we'll talk about is what we know that horse is capable of. I wouldn't pay any attention to the actual first up or second up record. I think that's too easily available and sort of there's no edge there. I love watching the trials and seeing, like Jonathan has said, which one's forward. But yeah, unfortunately, what the main angle we'd have would be we've got a clear picture of what the horse is capable of, but then we can go and look at them in the yard and see how close we think to peak fitness they are, and then how close that would mean they can get to that peak figure.
You can back them off the trial, though. If the trial's good, it's always worth taking a gamble if the odds are there.
Pistol, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I tend to agree. The one thing I would clarify about first up, second up records is I often look for a figure first up or second up as opposed to what it says in the form guide, so to speak. So I guess I try and take a slightly different bent with that, but that's all using huntingform.com.au's sectional all average benchmarks.
.gov.au. Jonathan, have you got a thought here, race 6?
Yeah, I heard a whisper. I heard a
whisper. Look at everyone just leans in now.
The Western District. Uncle Lindsay apparently told some people that Great Again would just be winning last start at Moonee Valley, I believe, and they cancelled the races. So you'd reckon, with Caulfield being Caulfield, we didn't touch on this. I know the rail's back in the true, but the track will probably. That's a bad way to put it. That's the wishy from the early doors. I think the track would be suited. If you were mapping out a race for a jockey, you'd say, please make sure you're rolling on the corner and close to the lead. And that's where Great Again will be. And at about $10, it's not a bad little... If Lindsay said it's fit, it's the only horse that's not first up. Got beaten by Home of the Brave, which Home of the Brave would be in this race, one way or another.
Up to
so the $10 is not a bad price. The horse on the way up is Banquo. Draws nicely. D. Oliver aboard, and both these horses should be suited. Well, Great Again, the softer track suits, and I think Banquo would be suited by a softish track too, or soft 5, soft 6. So they're the two at odds that I've thought I could have something on.
I agree. Great Again. It's the race fit horse here. 1,200 metres probably what it wants, and it probably wants a bit more rain than we're getting. But yeah, it's going to make its own luck. I love barrier 12s, not say like barrier sort of 4 inside. It's just crossover as it wants. Sometimes being wide, 1,100 metres at Caulfield's not a bad thing as long as you're forward. I think we get a fair enough price to risk here, but likely this horse will get too far back. But number 10, Rock Profit, at $41 is huge odds. This horse is flying, often ridden too cold. But if he pings the lids and sort of sits midfield here, 3 wide cover, I reckon he runs a hole and could well win. It's number 10, Rock Profit in race 6. Race 7, the McNeil Stakes. There's the synth hold. Up comes the market. Jonathan, thoughts here? Have you got any mail out of the Bussard and Young camp?
No, not especially. Look, my thoughts on mail most of the time. Apart from what I just said before, there's whispers. I just like doing my own form and betting off my read. Seems to work better than copping tips. Yeah.
Unless they're from the mailbag.com.au, obviously, Jonathan.
Yeah, but they're not formatted. They're not formatted off hearsay.
Yeah.
They're facts and figures. Driven edge. But if I going just probably goes against the grain of what you said last week when I sort of said, rulership was over the odds and should be winning. It hemorrhaged and ran midfield. But Tagaloa draws well, has the runs on the board, being a group winner. It was the obvious pick. And I asked Snowy those questions early because Craig Hewitt used to ride for Mick Price all the time, like 10 years ago. And, it'd be Craig Hewitt taking Mick Price first starter up the bush, and it'd be $3 into $1.50 and win with a leg in the air. So I thought Immortal Love drew well and will be on pace as well. But you'd love to know what's going on. Which horse Mick Price really thinks will win out of them. Reading between the lines, maybe National Choice. They like as a horse, but from barrier 14, it puts it in a more difficult position. But, I'm not really keen on this race on Thursday afternoon. But from what I can see, Tagaloa and Immortal Love were the ones that sort of just briefly looked a chance to me.
Yeah, I think it's a big call to get rid of Tagaloa, but I kind of want to because I want to bet into the race. It could well just come out, and if it's improved, just kill him. But there was a lot of merit to what our Playboy did the other day. I think it's probably a little bit under the odds, but it was a very nice win. Flying Award, if it gets out past $10, and they've shown that they can sort of run on a little bit, from barrier 6, you'd expect Ollie gives this horse every possible. I want to stick with Ranting though. Horse 11 Ranting, you can get double figures. I think if you're an each way punter, this is a really nice bet. Dwayne will cross from 10. He'll go quicker than he went last start, which will suit this horse. I just think it's a wrong price. It SP'd $6 last start and was ridden way too cold, and it suited the swooper, and it's still stuck on. It killed rulership. I think this horse is one worth following. One of the ones that sort of hasn't yet shown its true ability in a race where there's a lot that have. So yeah, I'm keen to go 11 Ranting each way. But big watch number 7 Flying Award. Peter, anything there in race 7?
Yeah, this is a great race for us in a sense because surely Tagaloa we get to see with a jockey off on .com. It's by far and away got the best form in this race.
Well, you'd hope so. It's horse number 1, but if it is late to the yard, then we won't see it.
It'll be a travesty. It's clearly got the best form. I wouldn't be surprised if this horse goes off. That Farnan form has got links on the vast majority of this field. And if that horse is returned in any sort of fitness first up, one hand shove for me.
Beautiful.
Oh.
Well, I think I think we're all sort of thinking the same thing. That's why, like, Ranting each way on pace.
Yeah.
If it does get killed by Tagaloa, I'm confident it can still run second and third.
This is such a yard race. Like, it's so disappointing.
It's a yard day.
This field, it's just like you sort of like.
And they're big fields, so races.com just won't show enough of it.
It's spewing.
Competent. Race 8, boys. The Heatherley Stakes, the Betfair Heatherley Stakes. Jonathan, have you got a lead here? Any sort of angle for the punter at home?
Yeah, look, this is one of those real early season. You've got the distance horses coming back that have ability, which may be unsuited. Ciccone obviously sits on pace. I'm not sort of with it at the price. It's been up for a long time. Ciccone's possibly my favourite horse of all time.
Every time he comes on, that's on. He talks about how much he's won.
I've won more money off this horse than any other horse in the history of punting for me, but I'm not with it at the moment.
It is short, isn't it? Like they've not like tempted you to have another go here, have they?
No, but track pattern pending. Mantastic is massive odds. It could be 100 to 1 on the day on Betfair. Regardless of track pattern, I'll have something on Mantastic at absolutely monstrous odds. Real query Constantinople because it's been gelded. Like they can just improve. Yeah, you take someone's balls and they're really under pressure, so you never know how much it could improve. Considering it was favourite in the Melbourne Cup, you don't know what we're going to get from Constantinople, which is a real query. Look, think would you? Hopefully it leads again like it did last start and playing seal. Yeah, like Plain Seal and Think Would You get the runs of the race, I reckon, for a Caulfield track pattern. Fantastic overs, Constantinople, big query. There's queries everywhere. Dr. Drills, look, it's a race full of queries. Once again, it's early season. A lot of these horses will be aimed at, group races going forward. Yeah, I don't know what to make of it. I'm tipping you'll find Shandy, Dicko, one of yours.
I wanted to find Shandy. Done nothing wrong this prep. Been very good for us. Really, really kept us afloat on a couple of days. I love this horse. It's flying, but 850 versus these and being backed too. Like, I just think it's a bit short. I think the play here, if you want to bet now, is number 13, Exasperate. If you look back through it, let me just get it up so I don't. I think it was really, really good first up. It couldn't do much more than it did. The first two in run were the first two home. It stuck on really well. It was very, very soft in betting, like no intent. But it's a concern that the rider, concern the gate. But I just think if you're a small each way punter watching this and you don't want to get stuck into something like a Sir Coney or a Shandy to get a big result, you just want to spec something each way. I reckon his Aspirator to run a good race. If he can ping and just show some intent and sort of be no worse than 3 back the fence, could be a lot worse options here. I think it's a really tricky race. Peter?
Yeah, no real angles here. I sort of found Gamekeeper, Shandy, both of those two, and then Plain Seal. So I've just found market there, and I'm not really that keen to get involved. I think Luke Curry jumping back onto some of these McAvoy horses, it might take a few sort of weeks to get back into it, but I think come later in spring, that's going to be a real big sort of weapon, that jock and stable combo.
Yep. Race 9, boys, the Memsie Stakes. There comes the market and the speed map. Good race. Well, Peter, do you want to kick us off with your review and now preview of these Westie's best ponies, please?
Yeah, well, look, I can't exactly have Arcadia Queen that short, given that it'll be right back in the field, you'd think, from 13. I mean, the horse does have tactical speed, but with D Lane and 13, I think he'll be probably taking her back towards second, third, last. And with that in mind, I think there's a couple of horses here that have that peak track and distance figure that just weren't suited first up or second up, as the case would be. And
I think you're gonna do a complete 180 here, and now take what I want to tip, I'm gonna back.
So I want to I'll have a position on Be Good to Your Mother and Streets of Avalon. Both of them rolling up front. Should be some genuine speed here, and then I'll save on Sosi Bon, because if Sosi Bon wins, it will cause one of the great scenes of all time with Jack Dickens going off his rocker.
Nah,
so
I won't be with it. Won't be with Sosi Bon. It's awful track and trip stats.
Yeah, Regal Power's the one for me. I would rather be of Regal Power than Arcadia Queen at the current prices. And I think if there's going to be one horse that's making genuine ground late, it will be it. But want to have a position on Be Good to Your Mother and Streets of Avalon on risk, but you're getting a price to find out.
I think there's a big case for Be Good to Your Mother if it's on pace. Wasn't suited, went too slow, could really improve here. Cascadian was the run of the race for me out of that other race. If they're running on, you got to be with it. Arcadia Queen was enormous last start, enormous. But from 13, I think they're going to end up snicking to near last. And even if they are running on, it's got enough speed to be midfield, so they're going to lose 3 lengths for no real gain. I think I don't reckon I've ever tipped this thing, and I've laid it heaps and often it won. But I just think Mystic Journey is huge value here. It's going to get the absolute runner race. It froths upon the 400 metres at Caulfield. It loves it. Real sick for it. Naughty, naughty girl, 400 metres Caulfield. I think the run was full of merit first up. Like you said, good tempo. The faster they go, the better. Billy Egan, big opportunity. Big opportunity. I think Mystic Journey is a great bet each way. Or if you want to stack your sort of book, I'd be backing it, backing not losing Cascadian. I think Streets of Avalon can improve. It was not ridden properly last start. And maybe Be Good to Your Mother. Track play, like track pattern pending. But Mystic Journey for me.
Yeah, I'm against. I'm not sort of with. I found Be Good to Your Mother because it clearly maps well at the price, but there's some real queries there still. The horse I found at overs would be Mr. Quickie. It's got a great first up record. It'll be storming home. Just depends on the wear on the track and if they can run on. But if they can run on, it's going to be 20, 30, 40, 50 to 1 or whatever it is. You have to have something on it. No one's even spoken about Behemoth. It was a very good win in Adelaide.
Because we talked about it before the show and we said you're going to talk about Behemoth. So now here you go.
Yeah, so Behemoth. C. Williams. Team panel to C. Williams would have to put a couple of lengths on it, wouldn't it?
It was absolutely blessed in run last start. This is the race where Kayla Crowther got shoved out the back of the surf there on More Than Exceed.
Yeah, but More Than Exceed, but it won well with a bit in hand. Be suited to 1400. I can see why it's well in the market. What about Glenn Fiddick and Gadding, the two Moody runners? P. Moody back in town, getting ready for spring. There's been some money for Gadding, 61s into into 41s back out to 51s. I'm seeing here. Some queries, and Glenn Fiddick being like an early season 3-year-old colt. Moody's a good enough trainer that he wouldn't throw this horse in the deep end if it didn't have some ability. So I'll definitely be having something on Mr. Quickie and then query those other 4 runners that I mentioned, which is Behemoth, not query. Could have something on depending on the day. Behemoth, Be Good to Your Mother, Glenn Fiddick and Gadding.
How would he know how much ability it's got just by clocking it at track work? Because there's no way he's sitting on it.
Oh,
is there? Would he ride him?
I don't know. There was that bloke in Adelaide that used to ride his horse 100 kilos and ran in the Adelaide Cup he used to talk about. But
really?
I don't.
Well, I reckon that'd be fascinating for people listening. Like, lots of trainers do ride the track work to know when they're right. Weir did a lot of it. Would Moody? I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
But you got to Moody's a Group 1 trainer. You take away like Caviar, he's still a Group 1 trainer before that. And 50 and a half kilo. Weight doesn't really faze me that much over the sort of sprint journeys, but in respect to Peter Moody, you wouldn't think he'd enter this first up to give it a heartbreak.
Oh, I agree. And I found it really hard to map. Well, with no weight. Maybe they try and be pretty positive.
It gets a perfect on its previous run. It gets a perfect map, doesn't it?
Oh, I sort of got it in no man's land a bit, and that's why I was happy to take on Savatiano. It got the greatest ride of all time last start to win, and now here from 11, I think that a few of them will try and go a bit quicker. It might slot in and get the perfect ride. I can just see Bill Egan sneaking to allow Mark to slot in front of him or something, and me throwing up in here in the office. But it's just got a few more question marks around its map this start than last start, Savatiano.
This is the other thing we should bring up on the show. Arcadia Queen, I cannot back it until its bar plates have been removed. If it wins with bar plates on, it has got that much improvement in it still. So it really have to take that in consideration. Usually you can put 6 lengths on a horse taking the bar plates off. So if this thing Arcadia Queen rattles home and gets beaten a length and a half and you see bar plates off the next start, so just a living certainty. So.
All right, race number 10, boys, is called the Cochrane Stakes. It's over the 1,200 metres out of the chute. Jonathan, what do you got? We're betting?
No, very difficult race. She Shall Fly will be running on it. It's coming sort of back in grade after running in the group, the Belchingly and the Regal Roller, which will give it a chance. But Ruby Saki, it's a fair dinkum horse, but it will probably get back as well. I mean, I found the two easy horses to find. Miss Old Mantra's got ability. A lot of these are first up. It'll be a tough day to bet in every race, in my opinion.
Pistol?
Yeah, I wanted to try and find some angle to knock off Ruby Saki. I just couldn't find it. I mean, it's never raced at the track, which is, I guess, is a small query. But when you break down all its figures and everything else, it's just such a good horse, and it's just really difficult to bet around it. You could probably have something very small on She's a Thief if it's on speed, or Street Icon probably maps pretty well here, and it's got some decent figures and splits. But yeah, I mean, if they're making any sort of ground, it's really difficult to get past Ruby Saki here.
Yeah, I'm keen. Number 14, Street Icon. Stockdale off, J Car on. She is absolutely airborne. John Barrier 5. It's got enough speed to use that good gate, be somewhere thereabouts. I thought it was enormous last start. I think that like $26, was it?
Yeah, about that.
It's been nibbled already. I think each way it's a nice play. It's going to be my best value on the card. My best bet on the card is race 9. Number 11, Mystic Journey. Jonathan, best and value and a lay?
I thought Morrissey gets a perfect run in race 4, about the $4 mark. It's fit. It was okay last start back in Greater Pit. It's a pretty safe bet in the current environment. The value, happy to back great again each way, especially if we get any rain this afternoon and we've got a soft 6 or a soft 7. But it had a good chance. I was potting Windstorm last start, so I might as well pot it again, and hopefully Nick Ryan's on the money and Express Pass rolls it.
Pistol, what do you got for us?
Keenest at Caulfield on Tagaloa, but I'll be waiting for the day, make sure the track's all playing as I expect and want it to. Outside of that, Belmont, we'll get to that later this afternoon when some markets go up. So stay tuned, click the link, visit the hub, all that good stuff.
I'm happy to join Jonathan and lay race 2, number 1, Windstorm. And around that
just put
260.
Just putting the 6 lengths on the thing now.
I think you put on about 4 naturally, so now it's probably 8 with us both doing it.
My horse ran all right the other day too, that you potted heavily. Prince Albie, it's working its way back up through the grades, 1-2 in a row. Second in the valley.
Punters at home, you're wondering why he brings up such a random pony from a random meeting. It's because once upon a time, Jonathan declared it at Geelong and I laid it. And he likes to remind me about it every chance he gets.
Backed off the map too. I think I tipped about $7. Started about $3.50, didn't it? Just one.
All right,
anyway.
we've got late mail betting advice via the app from Caulfield, from Belmont, Mounting Yard mail from Rosehill, and we've got Curly stuff all through the weekend. He'll probably cover 35 races. That's just be on Saturday. Get involved, support us so we can keep bringing you good content. Have a great week and good luck. Bye-bye.